Hi, everyone who's on early.
Sure.
Howdy, everyone. Welcome to the IoT, AI, and Cyber Showcase. My name is Asher Adensky. I'm going to be emceeing the showcase today. And as you can see on the screen, we have a beautiful Python code that's just importing stuff that I wrote a little bit ago. So lots of fun. So today we're going to have, two sessions. Each session is going to be about an hour and a half, maybe a little longer, and we're going to see some really interesting companies present. So what is, or who is Deep Tech Showcase? What our vision is to help more companies make it to market by, leveraging folks like yourself an ecosystem. And how exactly do we do that? We have startups on one side that are looking to commercialize or get their technologies into the right hands, and then we have both government and corporate tech scouts as well as investors. And through that we have showcase events. So every month we do an event. This month, as you are aware of or not aware of, but it's the IoT, AI, and Cyber Showcase. Next month is going to be Energy and Clean Tech. The month after that is going to be Industry 4.0. But essentially, it's an opportunity for startups to get out there, present, and then get feedback from the ecosystem on what they should be doing, what they could be doing, and giving them background on some what they can do going forward. In addition to that, we also help out in guided introductions. So if you see a company today that is very relevant and you're interested in potentially speaking with them, we're very happy to make a connection. Feel free to email me, or alternatively, a lot of the companies leave their information after their presentation. The goal is to move things forward, right? To connect companies with the right people in the right places so that things actually happen. So these are our upcoming showcases. Stay tuned for that. They should be a lot of fun. And with that, we're going to have a quick word from our sponsor. I'm happy to introduce Gabrielle Kaplan, who's going to give us a little bit of a background on Eagle Point funding.
Thanks, Asher, for the introduction, and thank you for having me on. I don't want to take up too much time over here. There's a lot of interesting presentations, but I'd like to briefly introduce Eagle Point Funding. What we do, how we relate to DTS, Deep Tech Showcase. So we at Eagle Point Funding, we are grant contra specialists. So we're helping our clients secure federal R&D funding. We're going for all different kinds of grants, and specifically the R&D grants. And we're working with all different industries, agencies, different technologies. So yeah, we're interested in all different types of companies, helping out in any way that we can. And just briefly, the way we work, we're working with our clients for 18 months. And usually we're going for about 15 to 20 proposals, opportunities during that time. And usually we can offer our clients a minimum KPI that they'll, a commitment that they'll see from that funding. So if you're interested in hearing more about federal funding system, about what we do, feel free to reach out to me. You have my information over here. The QR code goes to my calendar. You can book a meeting. I'd love to meet, love to chat and see how we can help. And also I'll put my Calendly link in the chat below. And all right. Thank you, Asher, and thank you all for joining this showcase, and enjoy the presentations.
Thank you. Thank you, Gabrielle. Absolutely. So with that, we're going to talk a little bit about the presentations. For session one, we're going to have MPEG, Key5, PureCypher, Encase, SyncDog, and Modus Operandi. Session two, we're going to have Alethea, Evitronics, Synergist, EdgeRunner, Demia, and Blastwave. So with that, we can get to the part that's probably more interesting for most people on the call. We're going to introduce the panel. And so with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, call out some names. And as I do that, feel free to introduce yourself as a panelist. Introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about what you're looking for, what you're interested in, what's relevant, and then also, maybe throw us a bone. Tell us what trend in this space you're most following or most looking at for now. So with that, let's get going. And let me just pull up the list. Bear with me, everyone. So Mike Freeman, you want to start?
Sure thing. Mike Freeman, I'm with Industry Ventures. We're a pre-seed seed fund. Mainly invest in the middle of the country. We're Colorado based. Key pillars are clean tech, climate, life sciences, vertical SaaS. An area we're quite interested in right now is advanced sensing and advanced modeling, particularly for climate and weather related applications.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you. Tobias Graf, do you want to go ahead?
Sure, happy to. Pleasure to be here, Tobias, with Hitachi Ventures. Actually, out of Munich, Germany, was invited by our Boston office, so really cool to be here. We look a lot into everything that's tangent to Hitachi, where we can add value through a go-to-market partner, customer, or a supplier. Across robotics, healthcare, environmental technologies, and digital technologies. Personally, mostly on the digital side of things, looking into AI, data, and cybersecurity. And especially excited currently around cybersecurity and topics that are impacted by agents there, meaning non-human identities. I think that there will be quite some impact from once all of those agents are deployed, and keen on what how those can be secured in the IT and the OT realm.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Tobias. Next up, David Evans. David Evans.
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to get to
All good.
the mute button. David Evans, managing partner, Sentiero Ventures in Dallas, Texas. We're focused on we invest exclusively in seed stage startups that are delivering B2B AI first or AI native solutions. The trend that we're sort of leaning into, or at least we're most interested in right now, is really what we characterize as jobs not being done. What are the opportunities to leverage artificial intelligence to do the work that doesn't scale without the intervention of AI? So things like compliance and HR tech, where you really can't achieve the scale that you need without the inclusion of artificial intelligence.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you, David. All right, next up, Carl Eschwer.
Thanks for having me, Asher. Carl here with BDAV Ventures, seed through Series B generalist fund. I'm based out in New York. We primarily look at vertical and horizontal, really AI. Recently backed a company in the intersection of supply chain, doing some really cool stuff with AI agents. I think the sort of area I've been spending a lot of time with is sort of this platform shift into open source. Looking at a lot of companies right now that are harnessing sort of power open source and making it more accessible to the enterprise, and sort of lowered friction, if you will, across marketing, ad tech, and like I said, with supply chain. So excited to be here, and thanks again, Asher.
Sure, absolutely. Happy to have you. Katie Vasquez, do you wanna go?
Hi, I'm an investor at Calibrate Ventures. We're an early stage deep tech focused fund based in LA. We do a lot of work in robotics automation, AI, manufacturing, and defense, or aerospace and defense. One thing that we're kind of looking at is, utilizing autonomous agents for both of the detection in cybersecurity, but also on the remediation side, as well as other applications.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Katie. Gordon Deng.
Thanks. Yes. Name's Gordon Dang with Air Force Research Labs, the Space Operations Software Support Branch. So I'm part of the cloud platform there as the cloud customer engineer. And what I'm interested in is just AI technologies deployed to the cloud, something more than just focusing on efficiencies in operations, but more about the data, right? Can AI help us make data be more usable? And also, what other benefits besides saving time?
Sure, that makes a lot of sense. Awesome. Thank you, Gordon. All right, Yvonne Lush.
Hey Asher, thanks for being back. I recently joined actually Lamb Capital. I was with Bosch Ventures before. Some of you know me from there. Lam Capital is the venture arm of Lam Research. Lam Research is, as many of you know, one of the largest semiconductor equipment manufacturers based here in Silicon Valley. We are looking with a very strategic lens in investing into startups in semiconductor manufacturing, in new materials, think photonics or power. We look into automation and robotics, which is crucial for our own equipment. But we also look into advanced packaging, which is all over the rage nowadays for data center and AI and making these workloads more efficient. That's it from my side.
Sure, absolutely. It's a pleasure to have you. All right, Alana.
Thank you, Asher. My name is Alana Monkunsavat. I work for Autodesk, which is a software company that focuses on three main pillars, which is architecture, engineering, and construction, design to manufacturing, and media and entertainment. We have a program called the Autodesk Research Residency Program that is free to participate in. And we're excited to see what we're excited about for AI is the more connected workflows that can enable all industries that to support making anything. Thank you.
Sure, it's a pleasure to have you. All right, Jonathan Wu.
Thanks, Asher. I'm Jonathan here from ITIC, the venture arm of E3ITRI, one of the largest research institutions in Taiwan with about 6,000 researchers. Some of the notable spin-off of E3 you may know, including TSMC, UMC, and AUO, etc. And we're looking to deep tech startups in general that fits the synergy of our research organization, particularly in semiconductors, materials, AI, cooling, and those kind of fields. Stage-wise, mostly C through Series B. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you. Next up, Anthony Macera.
Good afternoon, folks. Thank you for having me today. Anthony Macera, Air Force Research Laboratories Information Directorate over here in Rome, New York. I'm the government lead for an ecosystem we have up here called Orion, where we basically support the testing, integration, and transition of IoT systems in the visions across all industries. So we are currently putting some pilot tests for some small businesses. I've been working with small businesses for 10 years, and we try to support them, getting them accustomed to the DoD procedures and processes, explain the ATO process to try to get them and their capabilities into an Air Force weapon system. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. It's a pleasure to have you here. Next up, Lindsay Aspirin.
Thanks, Asher. Thanks for having me back. You got me?
Yep, I hear you.
You winced.
No. I accidentally clicked the wrong button on my computer. It was totally unrelated. Don't worry about it.
Lindsay Asperger, and I'm a general partner with North Coast Technology Investors and also a board and investment committee member of NTT Ventures here in Palo Alto. I'm interested in starting companies in AI, all the themes that people touched on, with a possible exception of probably semiconductor materials and things that are kind of on the wet end of fabs, and pursuing a variety of themes and data centers, data, and the tools that make for valuable applications. Thanks.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you for joining us. All right, next up, Jim Rutt.
Hello, Jim Rutt. I'm still a practitioner, CIO, CISO of the Dana Foundation. We're located in New York City. We're an endowment-based foundation. We do some investments in other funds, but most of my investing is done through apart and aside from what Dana does in 645 Ventures. I'm an investment venture partner there, as well as a startup advisor for probably 14, 15 companies at this point over the past 10 years. I'm looking for anything new, different, innovative. I think AI obviously is very exciting, but I think we have to tread lightly as to the applications of such and and what we can expect out of out of some of these theses. So nice to meet you.
Absolutely, it's a pleasure to have you. And last up but not least, we have Han Ko.
Hello, Han Ko here. Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be part of this great platform. Thank you. Appreciate it. Just a little quick background about me. I'm a VC investor, company called USACO Group. We're international presence. And then also I serve as a commissioner in the high tech and then investment space as well. It's governmental relations, I guess, in a way. What's unique about us is that we have presence in global. So we actually have offices in Los Angeles, Dallas, and Midwest, and also in Seoul, South Korea. Have our staff and offices there. So, I'm very deep into deep tech space. And then today's topic is really dear to me. So I'm looking forward to get connected with all of you. Thanks so much, and good luck to those presenting. Thank you.
Awesome. It's a pleasure to have you, Han. All right. Sorry, not last but not least, we have one more. I forgot to introduce Andre Blanco. Do you want to go right ahead? I don't know if he's able to unmute. Andre?
It's like he's talking, but muted. There he goes.
How about now?
Yep, can hear you.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Sorry about that. Hi, everyone. My name is Andres Blanco. I am one of the investment analysts for the Lockheed Martin Ventures team. That's Lockheed Martin's corporate venture capital arm. We're a $400 million fund interested in deep tech. We've been around for a while and are one of the most active VC investors in the aerospace and defense space. I'm looking forward to the most is learning about all these cool companies and connecting with everyone here. And yeah, our interest spans from artificial intelligence to cybersecurity. So this should definitely be an interesting panel for sure.
Good. It's a pleasure to have you. All right. With that, we are going to get started. Kicking us off today is going to be, if I'm not mistaken, MPEC. So Herb, whenever you're ready, feel free to start sharing.
All right, hopefully you can see my screen.
Yep.
All right, excellent. I'll get started. Every day, 1.2 billion integrated electronic circuits get installed across the globe. This includes our nation's critical infrastructure such as airplanes, ships, power grids, control systems, communication networks, wastewater treatment plants, and more. These critical parts include computer chips that control everything from landing gear components to nuclear power plants. Every day, 1.2 billion parts should be inspected. Teams of people tediously inspect parts and equipment and do everything they can to ensure there's not a single counterfeit part amongst them. The work they do is critical for our personal safety, national security, and our way of life. And yet, in 1 year alone, over 1 million counterfeit parts found their way into our nation's defense systems. This is in only 1 year and in one division of the federal government. And the issue is unfortunately even more rampant in the commercial sector with over 25 million parts annually. United States Air Force pilot First Lieutenant Schmitz was an unfortunate victim to this massive problem when his F-16 crashed and killed him, 100% due to counterfeit parts. But why do counterfeit parts pass through? Because inspecting and analyzing equipment and parts takes expertise, a distributed workforce, and many times expensive laboratory facilities and research. None of these are scalable solutions. Hi, my name is Herbert Dwyer. I'm a Marine Corps veteran and former NSA tasked operator and a critical infrastructure auditor. I co-founded MPEC, a company that is purpose-built to fix this problem and others like it. Our mission is to connect the equipment you see and know with the information you need for faster, more effective decision-making. I've assembled the best team I could find. Here are some of my key people to include our CTO, James Crouch, who was handpicked by Steve Jobs in 2008 to stand up the Apple App Store. The rest of my team, including myself, are experts in various necessary disciplines to create a well-rounded minimum team. Why do we call it data enrichment for critical infrastructure? Imagine being able to take a picture and get insights on accurate data on complex equipment and parts in a fraction of the time it takes using traditional methods. Meanwhile, without the need for extensive single-use databases like those that support barcodes. That's exactly what MPEC does. Our solution combines cutting-edge computer vision, applied intelligence, small vision models, and extensive data sets to transform the way we capture and analyze data of the many types of critical hardware that power our globe. Plus, we're building the world's largest equipment and part repository. We've generated unique IP and are seeking 4 patents. And it's not just the lurking counterfeit parts in our critical infrastructure we should be concerned about. It's also the faulty logistics systems, antiquated and inefficient equipment and parts that are hidden threats. We experience these hidden threats in our drive home, the flight to a conference, in our office buildings, the cars we drive, the boats we sail, and many other things that contain critical hardware. This is why it's such a quite large market, standing over $30 billion annually across the globe with a sum of $2.2 billion. The core of our platform has the ability to instantly connect images of real-world objects with the information professionals need to make critical decisions about equipment and their parts. We are already identifying counterfeit parts on printed circuit boards. But it can also be used for logistics. For example, the Department of Air Force plans to use our technology to replace old 1950s processes, like simply identifying parts for replacement or repair using human eyes and paper products, thus replacing the need for a barcode-based system. Think of the massive supply chain disruption that will take place due to our technology. Let's also not forget about some of the less sexy uses of our technology, to include building energy audits and helping the Department of Defense finally pass its first audit in almost 8 years. Our competition typically includes individual substitutes being stacked that lack the specialization and cohesiveness to equal the power of MPEC. Because MPEC's solution combines cutting-edge computer vision, applied intelligence, and extensive data sets to transform the way our customers capture and analyze data. MPEC's go-to-market strategy is working. We've already closed paying customers and partnerships with some of the largest industrial leaders worldwide, to include the United States Department of Energy, the Canadian government, Johnson Controls, Siemens, and many others, plus a contract with the Pentagon. What we're looking for are program offices that are interested in partnering with us, investors for MPEC's current financing round, partners for SIBRs and SITRs, mentor-protege partnership participants, and of course, commercial and government customers. Thank you very much. Happy to take any questions that you may have.
Sure. Thank you for that, Herbert. And one quick thing, I always forget to mention this before. We usually go in order of hands raised. In Zoom, under React, there's a hand raise button. Okay. Feel free to use it. Otherwise, you could just jump in if you can't figure it out. It's totally fine as well. Totally acceptable. So, Anthony, go right ahead.
Thank you. So, yeah, very interesting. And I noticed if you go a couple slides before, you were part of the Hustle program, right? I saw that.
We took first place in 2023, Anthony. That's right.
Yes, yes. Of course, Innovari, it's right across the street from where I'm working, and I've had a lot of instances where I work with the Innovari team. This is a very interesting capability. From my perspective, we look at IoT systems and how you secure them, and there's different layers of IoT, right, from the sensor to the cloud and everything that falls in between. And if every layer of IoT is secure, but your chips are counterfeit, you're not secure, right? So that's extremely important area for us. So this is a really good. I'd like to reach out at some point and talk to you a little more about this.
Yeah, I'd love to connect, Anthony. And it's a great program. I'll do a shameless plug for the others that are pitching today. Hustle Defense Accelerator in Rome, New York is an incredible program, and it's gotten a lot better since we went through it. So certainly we'll endorse it.
We appreciate that. Thank you.
Jim, go right ahead.
All right, thank you. Sorry, I didn't know the protocol before, and
it
took me a while to get the hand raise thing here.
Oh, good.
Herbert, well done. Very nice presentation. I'd like you to expand a little bit more. I'm thinking from a use case perspective in the supply chain area. Besides being able to get rid of a barcode, are there any other economies of scale or any kind of efficiencies that you can bring to supply chain in the abstract?
Yeah, one thing that's kind of been disappointed, I think, makes complete sense, is blockchain for supply chain, and it's kind of taken off, but it kind of hasn't. I believe we can help augment the blockchain approach by being the front end and back end for data kind of ingestion and then data authentication, or at least part and equipment authentication in the back end, and then a lot of the kind of stops along the way. There's a great slide that I built thanks in part to Deloitte comparing and contrasting the 1950s style supply chain that unfortunately the military still uses today, which is extremely linear on the left side here, but on the right side, this is the modern day supply chain. And if DLA and others like it or not, maintainers and service members do buy direct from eBay, Temu, and others, not really understanding that the part they're getting may in fact be counterfeit, either malicious counterfeit or just just junk, just because there's so much stress to get these antiquated and legacy airplanes and weapons platforms online again. So there's many others. I'm happy to take this conversation offline to share my thoughts with you.
Yeah, I haven't heard of any problems with Temu or any of these.
Not at all.
Anyway, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Sure. Go right ahead, Mike.
Just wondering how much capital you've raised and what are you raising now? Thank you.
Yeah, great question, Mike. So we've raised a total of 3.5 million between early investors and grants, not including SIBRs and SITRs. So we consider that as earned revenue for capability build. But with that being said, we are raising a seed round right now of $2 million.
Sure. Han, you want to go right ahead, and then you have
Yes, great presentation and great solution. Actually, really admired it. I actually heard about you guys.
Thank you.
You guys had something called the MPEC Sentry or something, right? Your core technology.
That's correct. Yeah, Sentry is the Department of Defense version of our commercialized technology.
Okay, gotcha. Yes, I heard about that. What is your intellectual property situation? Are you have you filed patents all over, or?
Yes, great question. So we have filed for 4 unique patents just very recently that really involve how we've approached the market using our own proprietary technology. Just to be clear, we are not another startup repackaging ChatGPT as a marketing play. This is all of our own internal technology. So in order to protect that, we have gone forward and sought patent protection for that.
Great. Thanks so much. I'd like to have a chat with you later. Thank you.
It'd be great, Han. I'd welcome
it. Yvonne.
Oh yeah, thanks Herbert for this interesting description of your company. I'm wondering because I was in the semiconductor industry in my former life, and we had like issues with different packaging suppliers or different packaging houses doing a little bit different imprints on our products actually, right? Did you have any experience there that like a genuine product then was rated as a counterfeit because they were from different packaging suppliers with different stamps?
Yeah, Yvonne, that's a great question. So we're just wrapping up a direct to phase 2 contract with the Pentagon where we study this exact phenomenon, which happens depending on who the manufacturer is. There could be multiple. There could be a manufacturer in Mexico and one in North Dakota printing the exact same stuff, same piece of equipment, same everything, except maybe the logo is shifted or the text is bolder or whatever the case may be. But it still meets the requirements of the customer, but it's just kind of within tolerance. And it really depends on tolerances, but the way we trained our technology, it will pick up those, kind of anomalies, let's call them, flag them, but not necessarily say, hey, there's something really bad here. It's just like, hey, just so you're aware, sort of thing. But it will flag if that is what our customer is looking for kind of a secondary inspection, by a lab or by a human being.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Right. Thank you so much, Herbert. That was great as always. Feel free to leave your information in the chat, and thank you for presenting.
Yes, thank you. Thank you everyone for having me. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right, next up we have Key 5. It looks like Jay is going to be presenting, I believe.
Hello, everyone. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, Herbert, getting us kicked off. That was strong presentation. I'm going to do my best to follow that for everybody here. I'm Jay Douglas. I'm with Key 5. I'm based out of Austin, Texas, and joining me today is Dan Barnett, the CTO, and he's based out of Denver. So we look forward to giving you a little bit of understanding of what we're seeing in the world of IoT, AI, and cybersecurity from our perspective and our context. Key 5, we are a software company that focuses on energy and all part of that energy system. So you got to imagine anything that's from acquiring that data out in the field, ingesting that, bringing it in the cloud analytical systems, and then issuing commands back. So a whole lot of emphasis around IoT as it's kind of commonly understood, data, AI, and then the huge cybersecurity implications of being able to manage these energy assets. So I'm bringing you our perspective, what we've been learning through the arc of the time that Dan and I have been working together over the past decade, and most specifically for the past couple of years here at Key 5. And one thing that we're seeing is, especially within the energy field, so forgive me, that's the paradigm that we're looking through here, is the solutions out there are quite ineffective. The manufacturers that are building these energy systems, these energy supply systems, are really good at building hardware and components and microcontrollers. They're not so good at software and actually be able to take advantage of that. Combine that with working with the communication protocols of SCADA. It's tough to get real-time resolution. It's really hard to issue commands, and it just doesn't really allow for a true distributed nature and effective management of a large-scale energy management system. A lot of the out-of-box IoT systems, and there's dozens and dozens of them, they don't understand energy, nor should they. They're really all about being able to work with various different sensors and manage that data otherwise. But there's some really intricate things there, from having those be able to work with types of systems that generate a lot of heat, a lot of vibration, a lot of data, a lot of information, be able to react real time. These IoT platforms just typically don't work in that sub-second realm or be able to kind of run on hardware or systems that support energy systems. And then, as we all know, there's a lot of cybersecurity implications with these IoT devices. They're very tough to patch. They're very tough to get any sort of awareness or asset awareness of what's going on. And as Herbert just illustrated, the amount of counterfeit parts that are out there also in the supply chain are a huge factor. And this is what we see as the problem here. And it just seems to keep going that way. Not necessarily doing anything about this is going to continue to increase the risk operationally. From a energy perspective, we're trying to get the most out of these energy systems, not only from an efficiency of those assets that are running out in the field, but also from an economic perspective. What's the best energy to use at the current price point? And we're missing a lot of opportunities to make better use of better stewards of our energy based on using these legacy systems as well. And then furthermore, those that are involved in energy will also understand that a lot of these energy solutions are very vertically integrated. So if you're working with a CAT system, you're working with CAT across the board. If you're working with Cummins, and likewise, that won't work. That won't work in the new energy field or the new energy landscape where we are deploying heterogeneous environments that are cooperating with each other. And then we're going to continue to build ineffective software solutions by keeping everything in-house in a way. So Key 5's coming in to support that as well. So where do we come into this? We have a few different components. As I mentioned, we are a software company. We're the picks and shovels that sit behind a lot of these OEM and other types of energy as a service systems. And what we bring here is a core platform that understands energy. We're not just another IoT or software company. We are energy experts as well. And what we're doing here is working with the OEMs, working with government, working with entities to actually increase the value of their systems, leveraging our software. So we rise together. We build them a better system that's going to be able to bring more to market. And in return, we're continuing to be able to better Key 5 platform to distribute that energy capability across all sorts of different use cases. We're relatively new, so everything that we built in has predictive analytic models. It has correlation models. We're able to ingest a large amount of data, so we are AI ready or machine learning, depending on where you want to split that hair, ready to go to be able to solve some of these larger business needs, such as demand load forecasting, preventative maintenance, and other types of corollary measures. This can only happen with be able to kind of work with AI out of the box. And likewise, everything from our edge systems to the cloud are following a very robust set of cybersecurities from the way they're authenticated, the way they package data, the way they tag data so we can trust it, all the way into the back end. So cybersecurity from end to end. We don't have legacy systems, legacy software that's holding us back there. Why we're doing what we're doing. I think that anybody's been paying attention. The energy landscape is rapidly changing. Data centers are consuming a lot more energy from the advent of AI and be able to provide those types of services across the globe. We are enablers of that. We have several different data center customers. In addition to that, that is driving the price point of energy up and making it more scarce, which is going to result in more microgrid deployments across our large power consumers. Matter of fact, I think just released, the Army has a rather large initiative to have microgrids in every different deployment out there. Commercial is following it as well. We are the enablers of these microgrid platforms to be able to work at scale and with various different systems. Over the past couple of years, we've generated a couple $1 million in revenue already. We have 400 different field deployments from simple systems to large, robust systems. And we're really starting to see success, as mentioned before, working with those OEM and energy system providers there. Who are we competing against? I think we mentioned it all before, and the various different weaknesses there. I want to be cognizant of time. This deck's very wordy. You guys are going to be able to get this and read it at your leisure. And where are we going with this? Right now, we're undergoing a $5 million raise and talking to different investors. We're also participating in various different grant programs that are available and kind of this current state of how those exist now. And with that, we're going to continue to bring in more product experts from the energy field. So we're making sure that we're integrating the right things at the right time within our platform, and to also be able to understand on how to get our systems and software embedded from a white label perspective, understand underlying framework perspective into more products, and to expand out our leadership team across various different verticals. So big investment into engineering and also a big investment into our presence in various different industries as well.
It's 30-second warning. Okay, we're good anyway.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah. Awesome.
Questions, folks?
Absolutely. Anthony.
Hey, great presentation, Jay. Interesting, your comment about IoT people are not experts in energy. That's a true statement. You know, I was thinking, I don't remember the detail. I thought I read that the Air Force has like the biggest carbon footprint of any entity. You know, we have bases out there. We're not efficient. And there are a lot of companies who are trying to help using IoT to create more efficiency in these bases with, you know, they call them smart bases now. Can you comment on that?
The first comment I have, if they're counting the planes and the CO2 efficiency, then definitely, I hope that was earmarked out of the study. You know, with that, I mean, that's a great use of IoT, is to have those environmental sensors, but even more so to be able to understand not only like where from an air quality perspective, but like where is the energy being used? So we talk about CO2e and scope 1 and scope 2. So what energy is being consumed on site and produced on site, and then what's kind of like on the line as well. We have a technology out there called non-intrusive load monitoring. It's in the early stages. We didn't invent it, but we're making it ready for industry. Where it actually is able to detect not only the energy consumption, but what's consuming that energy through understanding what the assets are there that are connected to the local grid. That's what's going to have to be considered when driving and reducing the carbon footprint, is what are the large energy consuming devices? And then on top of that, how do we responsibly shed load on those? The low hanging fruit really, in our experience, is two things: cooling and lighting. And that seems to be across everybody. So where can we get efficient about how we're leveraging cooling and also those lightings as well? Addressing that, then you can start looking at the machinery and everything else. Dan, you want to add to that?
Well, I wanted to mention too that detecting it and monitoring it is just the first pass on that. Bringing in AI to analyze the demand and the patterns that are present often points the way to more savings. For example, we have an industrial customer who, using our AI, has been able to analyze their energy usage patterns during the day for a potential savings of 30% of their fuel costs. So that's where AI is coming in to generate those efficiencies that the human beings can't see.
Good, thank you. And then just one question before, sorry I'm taking so long. You mentioned AI, the cloud. Are you any specific cloud provider, or can you use any cloud provider?
I'll speak to that. We currently host on the major clouds, AWS and Azure, but our technology fundamentally is agnostic to that. We can even host on premises if somebody wants to have an air gapped system or a disconnected system.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Sure. I think we have time for one more question if anyone has one. If not, we will continue forward. Oh, Tobias, go right ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Jay, for the presentation. Curious about especially the grid kind of use cases and what the technology is that you have built that allows that powers them. I'm not yet sure if I understood whether you build the data ingestion layer, whether you build the unification layer, or which piece of that. That would be helpful.
Well, what we've built is a multi-layered approach. So we have operating software on the edge in the client sites directly interfacing with devices. That's command and control, monitoring, et cetera, as well as local AI model training. And then there's a cloud piece that allows the broader fleet management and interacting with the deployed assets. So it's a two-pronged approach. And what we're mainly focused on right now is behind the meter demand side monitoring, not monitoring, modeling, so that we can provide actionable stuff there and participate in market programs from utilities and other entities that would have control over the site. Our future focus is going to be much more on doing prediction and integration with utilities to optimize our relationship with them. But we focused initially on microgrids and behind the meter demand side behaviors, if that helps to answer.
Thank you.
Okay. Awesome. So I think that's all we have time for, but I see there's a few questions in the audience, so feel free to I don't know if the chat is open to the audience as well, but maybe we should open up the chat to the audience and we can have some of those questions come through. Or alternatively, I think the audience can use the Q&A. So if you want to use the Q&A, feel free to ask away. I think it could be good. All right. Thank you so much to Key 5. Thank you for that presentation.
Thanks all.
Next, yep, absolutely. Next up, we have Pure Cipher.
Yes, hello. So my name is Brandon, and Dr. Brandon Langenberg, and I'm here with our CEO, Wendy Chin, as well. I'll be doing the presentation, and she's going to answer all the business questions and stuff like that as we move forward as well. So let me start sharing the screen here. Perfect. Okay. So again, as I mentioned, my name is Dr. Brandon Langerberg. My background is I have a PhD in quantum safe data encryption technologies. Just trying to move this here. Perfect. And our company is Pure Cipher, and we're focused on AI and data protection to ensure national security. So a lot of AI systems today face critical vulnerabilities, and a lot of that is due to the fact that they're training and performing inferences on unencrypted data. And so a lot of times they neglect to ask two questions as they're creating these models. Has the data that's being used for these models or our AI systems been contaminated, or has the AI system itself been compromised? So there was a recent article that came out that says that if you change or manipulate just 0.001% of the data that your large language models or any of your models are trained on, can significantly impact the percent accuracy of the model. So just changing 0.001% of the data can make a massive impact change. So if that data is tampered or manipulated in a bad way, you could have very negative effects. And so at Pure Cipher, we focus on our artificial immune system platform. which is designed to minimize data leakage in the attack surface. So we do this using our data integrity OmniSeal, which protects against data manipulation, and our secure compute technologies, which use quantum safe encryption techniques that never need to be decrypted, and as well as our secure comms, which we've previously presented, and we're currently working on Air Force SBR proposals for. So to go over these, the data integrity OmniSeal itself supports all common file types. It enables provenance and lineage tracking, and it supports semi-structured and unstructured data. And so one of the features of the OmniSeal is this image on the right-hand side, which you can actually go to our website and look at. But it allows you to embed images behind another image where the AI can still be trained and inferenced on the sealed image or the sealed data. And the accuracy has a similar accuracy as to unsealed images. As well, our secure compute allows secure intelligence collaboration across all agencies and nations. It allows intelligence sharing and collaboration without revealing classified information. And it can be used for secure identity management as well, or medical records, while avoiding leaking any classified information or locations or anything else that's in, for example, the background of the images that are being taken. So the way this works, secure compute models are trained on sealed data, and the inferences can be performed on sealed or unsealed data. This way, you know the data that you're training the model on has not been tampered with, and if you use sealed data for inferences, you also know that it's not being tampered with during the inference. And so here's a picture of a pretty basic neural network model, which even basic models can be very complicated using complex mathematical operations and algorithms. But at PureCypher, we convert these basic models into the FHE space, the homomorphic encryption space. We're converting the mathematical operations underlying them efficiently and securely. And so our focus is on leading this charge of developing these deep neural network models trained on sealed data, doing this in a secure fashion. And so here's a demo I'll run through. It's 30 seconds, but sometimes the audio doesn't work well. So I'm going to mute that and just talk over it. But basically, this is a model that can distinguish medical data and differentiate different blood cells to diagnose diseases. And so basically what we would do is we would take an image. Here's multiple images. We'll pick this first one for the model. So it's labeled 3. But what happens is that image becomes encrypted. The encrypted information is then transferred to the model, where the model performs the inferences and computations on it. This model, for example, has 3 layers. So we'll just compute those 3 layers and then send the information back to the client. The client can then decrypt and get the results. In this case, the model returned the result of label 3, which is exactly what the image was picked, which is, for example, in this case, immature granulocytes can give you information about the bone marrow issues of the patient. Other use cases or continued use cases of how this actually works is for medical use cases. We can confirm a disease or diagnosis of a global outbreak, and it can be used to backtrack disease lineage as well. The lab takes the image of the sample, seals the data, and then encrypts with our quantum safe technologies. The results are computed on the cloud or the server or somewhere and then sent back to the necessary party. Additionally, this can be used on similar ideas as spatial identification and other use cases. But again, we're just emphasizing that no one sees the encrypted data. Once it's encrypted, it remains encrypted throughout the entire process. And so we currently have strong market traction. For OmniSeal, we're looking for partners. For government, we have multiple SBI proposals and we're interested in prime contractors, as well as our global customers of casinos, insurance, and banks currently. And we're focused on our most viable product deployment. So we're currently fundraising. We're interested in strategic partners to license our technology and our products. And for the government, we're looking for end users. We already have some customers, but we're looking for end users for our AppWorks SBR proposal. So thank you.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Yep. Sure. I'm going to let, here. All right. I think you can talk now if you want.
Okay. Could you describe some differences between this and stenography, as far as how would you differentiate this?
When you say, I'm assuming you're talking about our data integrity capability. Steganography is one way we do it. We also use spread spectrum, but at the end of the day, steganography works well with images, audios, and videos that has signal to noise ratio that's high, but it doesn't work well with text. And so we allow you to embed the mark behind all file types. And we verify that you can train AI on verified, the sealed data with the same accuracy of training AI over unsealed data. But the beauty is if you train AI over sealed data, you can check for the seal, so you will not be data poisoned.
And how compute intensive is the encrypt decrypt?
Brendan, you want to answer that?
Sure. For the secure compute technologies, the encrypt and decrypt has minimal intensity. It's more the performance of the inference, the computation of the model and stuff that can take time. But the encrypt and decrypt is milliseconds.
Okay, thank you.
Well, we have time for another question. So, Mike, go right ahead.
I wasn't exactly sure what stage of development the technology's at and what type of people are using this now, or types of customers.
So we actually file patents. So we are patent pending on many technologies. And we are doing MVP. We have partners that's ingesting our data integrity capability. So they're actually bringing to the world for people to use to ensure the data authenticity. Right now, we are looking for MVP clients for enterprise. So we've been talking to casinos, because one of the beauty of our technology is you could actually use secret information like PIIs for healthcare as the seal behind a generic data, or hiding it behind a decoy. And that's why a lot of companies that look at potential ransomware or data breach impact will want to use this, and they are interested in working with us. We're also talking to insurance company because they look at this as be able to help the insurance company lower potential liability. So we are actually seed round. We're raising $5 million to enable us to truly get to market. And we are also talking to DoD. We have multiple cyber application and speaking to potential contractors for DoD applications.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Wendy and Brandon. That was a fantastic presentation. Feel free to leave your contact information in the chat. So whoever wants to contact you can, and we appreciate it. Next up, we're going to have Encase presenting. Let's see. Brian, are they on, or should we move forward and circle back?
Yeah, Mike is here. He's in the audience. I'm trying to promote him to panelist.
Sure.
So let's just see if he accepts.
Sure. Bear with us, everyone, for
All right,
1 minute.
he's rejoining as a panelist. So yeah, he's
perfect.
All right. He's on the Zoom panelist now.
Okay. Perfect. We could just come back around to it if need be.
I'm ready.
Right.
So
Okay, perfect. So yeah, Brian, why don't you go right ahead, and then we'll circle back.
Share my deck here then. Is that showing up right, or is it showing the next slides and all that stuff?
It looks good to me, but we're seeing present. Yeah, there you go. It's good.
Everybody good?
Mm-hmm.
Well, good. I will keep moving so we don't run over it all here. Hello, everybody. I'm Brian Eggenreiter. I'm the COO and CRO for SyncDog, kind of a newer approach, next generation approach to protecting data on mobile devices. To kind of frame the situation a little bit here, I think we all see what's going on in the market, where obviously just about every employee out there is walking around with a smartphone, demanding to be able to do more on those devices, access more data. And I don't think anybody in the audience, I do a lot of these types of speaking engagements, and I always ask people, I'm like, who in the audience actually believes the data on their mobile device is safe? And I've still never had anybody raise their hand to say they fully believe it. So usage is up. The cyber attacks are getting more complex and more sophisticated, and the approaches to handling them are just way under capable. And then to add to that, there's a massive trend now towards personal privacy and all those types of factors where end users are demanding personal data stay personal, and the organization isn't able to see any of that. The big problem in the industry really focuses around the traditional approach. Almost every other solution on the market has an MDM, UEM, EMM based solution, which means right out of the gate, taking control over that device. Usually not a big deal if it's a government-owned, corporate-owned device, but with the trend towards BYOD, that's becoming hugely problematic, especially when you tie in the personal privacy aspects of it. But the bigger issue is MDM, UEM, and all that from its very start was just built as more of a provisioning and issuing, when you buy devices, making sure the serial number of that device is assigned to user. So it was more of a managerial type of solution, and security was added later. So what most vendors out there are doing are teaming up with other solutions, adding app wrapping solutions to be able to protect the data at rest in given apps. And you'll see those that will have 2, 3, 4, 7, 15 different apps on employees' devices that are wrapped and secure, which greatly enhances the attack surface for that organization. But it's only protecting the data at rest in those applications. And then they'll add a VPN solution on top of that to protect the data in transit, which is very ironic because, go back to my earlier statement about nobody truly believes the data on these devices are safe, and suddenly you're opening a gap in your firewall to let those devices come through. And then, to constantly be scanning. So then they're going to add mobile threat defense. They might add identity access management. They might add content management solutions. So you're looking at 5, 6, 7 different solutions from probably 2, 3, or 4 different vendors to try to protect the data on those devices, and yet they're still falling short. So what SyncDog is all about is taking a completely different approach. We take a very data protection approach first, with the device being secondary. So our philosophy here at SyncDog is that we assume the data or the device is going to be compromised. We're assume there's going to be a malware. We assume the user is going to have TikTok on that device, or whatever is going to happen, that could put the data on that device at risk, and we're still going to protect anyway. So what we've done is built a truly zero trust environment, in that even if you get a Pegasus or a Predator type of approach, one of the more aggressive attacks or malware that's out there that basically does a non-persistent jailbreak of the device behind the scenes, and you're not even aware it's happening. Yeah, the pictures of your kids and pets and maybe your personal email and messages could be impacted, but everything in our environment is still going to be protected no matter how severe the attack. And we're using, our very first customer was one of the agencies. So we have full FIPS 140-2 certified encryption of everything at rest and in transit in our solution. So we're fully attacking this market with one of the most secure focused solutions out there. But then most importantly too, we're taking this non-MDM approach. We offer MDM too, by the way. So if you're buying devices, we're going to help you there too. But we just know it doesn't do anything for actually securing. So we take a non-MDM approach to our security solution, which then quite conveniently solves the personal privacy issue. So suddenly BYOD devices can be just as secure as government issued or corporate issued devices And so we solved the problem of employees saying, why am I carrying 2, sometimes 3 or 4 different devices? I want everything on one. I want to be able to do all my work on one device, but I don't want the administrators and security teams seeing what I'm doing outside of work hours or on the personal side of the device. Kind of summarizing a little bit is, with the major issues we're solving is protecting that data security at all costs, making sure that's always going to be protected, and then making sure that the personal privacy at the exact same time is going to be respected by pulling this into its own isolated environment onto the phone. So if I'm racing through, because I can show you the quickest demo possible. So I'm going to try to get through and actually show you the solution because it's fully functional. We have customers and everything else. So why is this relevant? Is because the market is very eager for what SyncDog is bringing to the table. Certification and regulation and all kinds of other aspects are coming out in the market, demanding that the private sector and public sector are all ensuring that any government data or any data in a whole that's PII or sensitive is fully encrypted. It's not just protected behind a password on a device. And it's got to be in a way that's protecting against even the most severe attacks. It has to be compatible with all devices. The days of demanding, everybody is on this version of an Android device or you can't use iOS or you can't use Android are gone. The employees are kind of winning the battle of wanting to use the device that they're familiar with. And so you have to be supportive of all those environments. And then again, you look at NIST, you look at CMMC, you look at new criterion regulations really across the world, and it's all around now data encryption and personal privacy protection. So you've got to do both. And SyncDog has a very elegant solution to solving that problem. Looking at the TAM, SAM, and SOM, it probably goes without saying the end user mobility market is massive. Solutions are all over the place of how to address it, but it's starting to consolidate because the analysts are realizing that MDM solutions and UEM just aren't getting done. So you're seeing all these combination of those multiple solutions and vendors coming together to try to put together a cohesive approach. But again, it's going to be 2, 3, or 4 different tools. From 2 or 3 different vendors that are consolidating into one. So it's still very convoluted where we're bringing this all together in a single app. So, the SAM and the SOM are pretty close to even the TAM there. Happy to go into more detail about that. With timing, again, security is in such high demand with everything happening across the world as far as attacks, and mobile devices are one of the primary targets of the more sophisticated hackers. Personal privacy, again, we've touched on that. CMMC, it's turning out to be a really, really great market for us now that it finally seems to be going into effect, because it's, again, all around encrypting CUI data on any employee's devices or in the entire environment of the organization to make sure that data is always protected. And then the legacy player exit with all these bigger companies that are either merging and realizing that the solutions they have in place just aren't fulfilling the need. So you're seeing some consolidation and even exit of the old style or traditional approaches. So for SyncDog, we look at this $10 billion industry and see a major opportunity for us as we're now getting the product out on the street and people are starting to use it. Because the demand is there. There's no other solution that's really appealing to it and addressing it in the proper way, in a seamless way that doesn't impact the end users as far as the security and usability balance. It used to be a big seesaw. Security goes up, usability goes way down, and we're trying to raise all the boats with our one tide by again offering this intelligent and seamless separation of work and personal on a single device. And again,
30-second warning.
Oh, wow. I'm trying. So key here is we have a fully baked product with customers. We've got a global distribution channel. Of course, the siren or ambulance is going by as I'm talking. People all over the world who are familiar with our solution and now starting to sell it. Just getting out of the gate, we only had 175,000 or so in revenue last year. We're already at 225 this year, so we're starting to see the potential for the hockey sticking going on. Capital raise requests, we're looking for 750 to $1 million, maybe a little bit more, just to give us some runway to be able to really start making numbers and going and getting profitable. Hopefully they'll share some of the deck with everybody later, but I can go into anything here. So sorry to run late.
You're good. All right, let's open the floor up for questions. Whoever wants to go first, feel free. Han, go right ahead.
Yes, hi. Hey, great solution and good presentation. I hope that ambulance worked with you. Actually, what does your landscaping competition field look like? I know, like a checkpoint software, things like that. So
no, not really. Yeah, they have solutions in their portfolios, but again, all MDM based. So Samsung Knox is a solution out there that's kind of taken this sandbox containerization separation type of approach. But they're really doing is using that same app wrapping and VPN approach by just wrapping a single PIM app that has email, calendar, contact. It doesn't offer anything else, or if you do, you have to individually wrap. BlackBerry is out there, but they do the same thing as Knox. It's a individually wrapped PIM app, and you often need MDM to really roll out the rest of their solution. Hypori is a newer approach, but basically they're just sending pixels, so all the data actually stays behind the firewall, and it's a virtual type of environment on anybody's phone, but it doesn't work offline. And in the military landscape, where you could, if you're out in the field, you can't rely on that clear connection at all times. So they've got a pretty big Achilles heel. And then just as importantly, they're protecting it by having the firewall in between it, but they're still not encrypting that data even on the back end iteration of their phone. So I think we've got the most complete and now and marketable solution out there, just based on what the demand is.
Gotcha. You try to raise 750, or I kind of missed that one.
Yeah, so we're obviously starting to bring in customers. We kind of had a couple of these CMMC type of small businesses that are trying to appeal to that came on pretty early, but now we're starting to get into some big banking and things like that. And with a lot of these regulations happening around the Fed, we're kind of jumping back into. We quite intentionally went out to the private sector, and now coming back to the public sector as the demand, as the product is fully complete and the demand continues to grow.
Great, thank you.
Thanks for the questions.
Well, we have time, I think, for perhaps one more question if someone wants to ask. Lindsay, I know you're. Oh, Mike, go right ahead.
So this is an interesting. The technology development, it's not in my wheelhouse. So I'm just more curious, when you think about your customers, clearly government, large companies, I totally get. A lot of the technologies we support aren't necessarily large government or, kind of Fortune 50 type customers. So just trying to understand outside the big organizations that have a really high security need, what's the rest of the market look like? Because it seems like kind of mid-sized companies, whatever 5 billion or whatever revenue, not huge.
Yeah.
Are they spending on this? I guess I'm just not really clear about that.
Yeah, they really are. And if you don't mind me going to the extreme, our smallest customer is a 3-person franchise owner. It just happens to be somebody we know, but they're like, man, I need to hire these 2 people. I don't even know how to handle, getting them access to email and setting all that up. And do I need to buy phones? And we're like, no, just use our app. I mean, it's downloaded off the App Store. It takes literally, typically when we're at a tabletop, I will do a demonstration where I'll delete the app off my phone, put it back on, re-provision, and it takes me 90 seconds. I do it all the time. But there's the MFA component that adds a little bit, and typically our joke is the hardest part of it is just remembering your email password to be able to link it to your backend servers. But the simplicity of it to the end user is what really drives it into that SMB market, because you get rid of having to buy devices for your employees. You get rid of the data plans, which are $20 a month. And right now we're only at still, 10, 11, $12 a month per user. So we're very cost effective because we're competing against those old MDM solutions that are in a race to zero. So we're constantly trying to raise our pricing up because of what we're doing, but we're a great fit for those small and medium-sized businesses because we save a lot of IT resources.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Brian. It's a pleasure having you on. All right. Next up, we are going to have Ncase, hopefully.
Can you see my screen?
You can see it. For me, at least, it's still on.
Yes, we can.
Still on PowerPoint. Yeah, presenter mode. Okay. And you might want to switch to displays.
What's that?
You might want to swap the displays. We're seeing the presenter mode. Like right next to tips, between tips and use slideshow, is swap displays. You might want to do that. Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
Yeah. Does that work for you guys? Well, that's weird. Well, as long as it's good. Hey, I appreciate the opportunity to present. Appreciate all the previous presenters. Let's kind of set the stage a little bit. We're in the quantum computing space, and the problem we're solving is as quantum computers are coming out, and when they're coming out is always a little bit of controversy. You know, some people like Bill Gates are saying 3 to 5 years. Jensen Huang from NVIDIA was saying, 10 to 30. So it is a wide spectrum. I think general people are looking at 5 to 10 years when quantum computing is going to come out. We're not a quantum computing company. We're a quantum computing cybersecurity company. So the problem is quantum computers, when they get to a scale of some say 5 to 10,000 qubits, then they will be able to break standard cryptography, the RSA cryptography. And so what we're doing is we're leveraging NIST's new standard, which came out in August of last year, but we're enhancing that and allowing a framework to allow companies to move all their cryptology, or at least the ones that are in transit, to the PQC standard. But as we'll talk, PQC isn't really good enough. PQC still is based on a pseudo-random number to seed the key, and many, including ourselves, don't think that's adequate. So we're using actually a quantum physical source that's using quantum random number generation. That's a true random number to seed the key in conjunction with the NIST post-quantum cryptography standard that's out. And so that's where we're playing and kind of positioning out in our competitive differentiation. We have 15 patents on it. We're unique in the fact that we are a US entity, but partnering with an Indian entity that has been doing this for like 8 years, has a lot of great technology on the hardware side. Our product is the software side. We've got joint licensing, so we can leverage the hardware on the quantum random number generation, but also the ultra secure quantum key distribution, KQD systems. And we got access to all that technology in the Americas, including all the patents. So this is kind of what we're talking about. Is NIST PQC really enough to make you quantum safe? It's really get you quantum resistant is what, it's a subtle difference, but pretty standard in the industry. Quantum safe, you really need to have an additional either layer of technology. That could be the QRNG, which is the quantum random number generator that I talked about, or multiple layers of cryptography. So if that gets broken, and NIST has openly said this is our best, this is what we're going with, but we think it's probably going to fail at some point in the future. So you need to be crypto agile, and that's one of the other key aspects of our system. Is not only can we help you get to a post-quantum safe capability, and we'll do that with the NIST PQC. We also have a NIST QRNG system, but if you need to change that out to PQC 2.0, and that's coming, we don't quite know when, but when the quantum computers get to a certain scale, there is a high likelihood that PQC, because it is also math-based, will have some limitations and will have to be modified. In the past, and again, it's distant past, when we went to RSA, it was probably 40 years ago. It was about a 5-year time frame to actually get a change of all of your cryptology. So if you look and you think, okay, well, the quantum computers aren't going to be out for 5 to 10 years. There's two aspects that are coming into play. One is the fact that it is going to take you 5 years to actually get everything ready, and you don't want to wait until your system and all of your encryption is void. The other thing is a lot of players right now are harvesting now and decrypting later. So any company that has very sensitive data, they're being hacked today. They're taking the information, even if it's encrypted and they can't decrypt it, they're saving it. And then once quantum computers are out and available, they'll be able to decrypt it. If your information is still going to be sensitive 5 to 10 years from now, which in our key industries it will be, then all that information is going to be readily available. So you need to protect now, well before the quantum computers are out and available. What we offer is a single platform from a single vendor that allows you to have all the capabilities we just talked about with the optical, physical capabilities in the real world to make it truly random, but in a single platform that allow you to modify and change cryptology as time becomes available. The key areas that we talked about. So our ICP is really against financial services is probably key, as well as government and defense, and then also telco. Doing quantum communications is key. We've got some success in these regions. From a global perspective, we have a naval implementation where we're doing kind of quantum communication. It's also over fiber. It's also over open air, which is quite unique. Again, some of our technological innovations. Also doing it for telco. So doing quantum safe 5G from both telco, and we're also doing that in the US with a DoD implementation that we just signed earlier this week.
30-second warning.
Wonderful. So I'm the CEO and co-founder. We have a team that has been through many implementations of bringing companies to bear, both small and large. So we know what good looks like from large companies, but also have gone through the startup multiple times. Our ask is for $2 million in a safe round. We're probably less than halfway through on it, looking at closing that out, again, for building out the platform, and then also increase in go-to-market, both on marketing as well as talent acquisition. We believe that we can get to $500 million in sales in 5 years, and it's a very large market, as you can imagine. Everybody needs to do it. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Mike. Opening the floor. I said thank you so much. Opening the floor. I can ask to give people time to get started. Can you talk? I know you mentioned a bunch of traction previously, but can you talk a little bit more on some of the traction that you have? Just to go a little deeper into it, maybe.
Yep. So we've got about 10 implementations. Some telco, predominantly in Army and Navy. The current implementations are in India. The technology was originally developed in India from the hardware perspective, and that's where the initial implementations were. We're doing an implementation or pilot right now with the DoD and similar technologies where it's more quantum communication in a theater. So.
All right, and we have a few. Lindsay, if you want to ask it over the Zoom call, you can also.
Sure.
But sure.
Hey, what's the TAM? You know, and how big is this going to be in 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, you know, it is the market we think is about 193 billion. And again, it's probably on average, most companies are going to have to spend a few $1 million minimum in order to get this converted over. And on top of that, probably a ton of services of evaluating what their current situation is, because most companies don't quite know where the vulnerabilities and the risks are. So they'll have to do an evaluation of that. We got some partners for working on that, and certainly the big 5 consulting firms are active in that space as well. And then the implementation and putting the systems in is kind of a multi-million-dollar.
So Mike, I'd have to say I was a little. You said 193 billion today.
In 5 years.
What would that spend be comprised of? Just what would be the buckets on that spend?
Labor systems, as well as the consulting of being able to get that up and going. Obviously, some change management and getting their internal teams up to speed on quantum as well.
Thank you.
Perfect. One question in the chat, and I think that's all we have time for, is someone wanted to know about the NIST standard that you guys have.
Yeah, so there's 2 that I mentioned. One is the post-quantum cryptography. That is a NIST standard. It's the replacement for RSA. It is a non-chargeable, right? It is. They worked on it for 6-7 years. They had over 100 submissions across the globe and selected one after 7-8 years of really evaluating it. That's been published, went out in August of last year, which really has kicked off, you know, all of the frenzy around people needing to get serious about getting this done now. So we're really kind of accelerating over the chasm pretty quickly because of that. That's the first NIST standard. That's sort of not ours. That's the PQC side. What we're working on is the quantum random number generator, and we've certified that. NIST has a standard around that. And so our product is NIST standardized, NIST certified. And then what we do is we'll pull the 2 PQC as well as the quantum random number generator together in our software product to be able to leverage both and be able to interact that across the organization.
Sure. Absolutely. Perfect. Thank you so much, Mike. Feel free to leave your contact information in the chat. But thank you for the presentation.
Thanks,
Next. Absolutely. Next up, we have Modus Operandi, and presenting for Modus will be Yannicka Clever.
Okay,
Yannicka,
awesome.
Yep.
Let me share screen. Okay, perfect. Can you hear me and see me okay, or see the screen okay?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I'll go ahead and get started then. So yeah, hey everyone, it's a pleasure to be here. My name is Yannicka Clever, and I'm an AI ML engineer at Modus Operandi. A little about Modus Operandi. We're a high-tech software company with a mission of empowering decision makers with living intelligence, helping promote faster, smarter decisions and improved mission outcomes. So at Modus, we recognize that current disjointed requirements and static intelligence products can often result in irrelevant, fragmented, or outdated information that hinders effective decision-making. So we take a unique approach to transform this process by creating a continuous feedback loop where decision-maker needs directly shape the type of data that we are collecting and analyzing. We also have a living intelligence platform where we synchronize machine analytics with stakeholder collaboration to help close any of those information gaps as quickly as possible, and ensure that our stakeholders always have the most relevant and up-to-date insights. So a little about the core technology behind our solutions. It's called object-based production, and it's an intelligence-based paradigm, and it works essentially by creating a conceptual object for each person, place, or thing that's of interest to the organization. And this object essentially serves as a sort of bucket that collects all of the different information and intelligence that's produced about that entity or topic of interest. And then this will trickle down into all of our analytics and AI ML. So object-based production transforms what would be traditional flat or static data, such as rows in a spreadsheet, into intelligent dynamic objects that are enriched with relationships, attributes, and context. So once this data is objectized, it becomes more searchable, interactive, and AI ready. So that brings us to the most exciting part of all of this, which is how our living knowledge store can transform fragmented data into a continuously evolving intelligence hub, where different AI ML tools can help us to analyze, visualize, and uncover deeper insights with all of the context behind our objects. So for example, with semantic AI and natural language processing, we can take unstructured data like text and documents and turn it into structured intelligence in the object store to make our AI-driven search and analysis even smarter. We can also enhance traditional machine learning models through our platform by improving their context, explainability, and decision-making. So this can help improve traditional cases like pattern detection, anomaly detection, and outcome prediction, improve their accuracy, especially in mission-critical contexts. And then last but not least, large language models really thrive with this enriched data. So it can help us to deliver more precise and context-aware responses, especially in retrieval cases, that help us to drive real impact for novel use cases. So here we have a little slide on our competitors, and I won't go into too much depth on this one. It's just different competitors in key market segments from knowledge management to logistics. But here we have a few of the ways that modus operandi stands out in the market. So notably, a few highlights: our solutions are highly adaptable and cost-effective, and we're able to seamlessly integrate with existing workflows. We also have deep expertise, particularly in defense AI. So that's where a lot of our work has been. And we use, in that area, we use semantic technology and LLM-driven analytics to enhance decision-making and streamline those DoD workflows. And then lastly, we also offer domain-specific solutions in areas like acquisition automation, policy compliance, and logistics planning. And now a bit about our business model. Our business model is built on AI-powered decision intelligence for mission success. And so AI solutions are a big part of our value proposition. And we have a few different streams of revenue at the moment. So the first one is government contracts. So we work with a variety of different agencies and levels of government, which typically starts as SBIR or SITR funded research and development, and then transitions into full program funding. We also secure prime and subcontracting roles on major defense programs through various contracting mechanisms. Then on more of the commercial enterprise sales side, we actually offer SaaS-based licensing through our flagship Movia AI product and provide custom AI model development and data fusion solutions. And lastly, we also offer partner and channel sales, which is where we're collaborating with different system integrators and consulting firms that deploy our AI in broader solutions. So last, a bit on the key areas where we're focused on growth and also how we're looking to scale and connect with you. So first off, for government industry partnerships, we're building strategic partnerships with primes and system integrators and working on expanding into non-DoD agencies and regulated industries. We're also collaborating with AI-first companies to enhance our decision automation solutions. A big part of what we do also is deploy pilot and proof of concept programs in various different areas, from defense to finance to compliance automation. And our goal with these is to eventually expand these established products, so like Leap, Page, and Knight are just a few of the names, into additional operational domains. And we're also exploring OEM and white label AI integration with enterprise platforms. Last of all, of course, we're always seeking out new AI and data science and UX talent. So making sure we're recruiting top tier professionals to have the best talent on board, and working with advisors as well who have deep experience in key areas like tech, defense, and GovCon scaling to provide that guidance. So with all of this in mind, with these initiatives, we're really excited to scale and bring this AI-driven intelligence into even more industries. So we're currently looking for strategic partners and investors who share this vision and are ready to help us take living intelligence to the next level. So if you'd like to connect, would love to follow up and have a conversation about how we could potentially work together. So that's all I had. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Yannicka. Han, go right ahead.
Yeah, thanks. Hey, great presentation and great product here. Appreciate it. I know you mentioned that you're anticipating like a potential threat and also I guess seizing opportunities through semantic technologies, along with I guess a pattern, I guess discovering hidden patterns or something like that, right? Can you give us some use case on that one, please?
On discovering the patterns?
Yeah.
So one example, let me see, of the ones that I had. I'm relatively new to the company, so I'm
okay. It's okay. Yeah. When you're done, I have another question too. But, go ahead.
Okay. If you want to go ahead and ask the other question now, I'll think on the use cases.
Sure. So you're not trying to raise money, right? At this point, you just try to find a collaboration in the industry. Is that what you're trying to do, or your goal here?
Yeah, I believe just connecting with strategic partners and investors is our main goal at the moment.
Gotcha. And do you have any presence in your product services that present overseas, or you're strictly in USA right now? I know you're pretty. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I believe currently just in the USA, but I can follow up on that one.
Okay.
With some leads at the company.
Gotcha. Okay.
But yeah, on your first question, I'll follow up with you afterwards as well.
Sure. All right. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
And then there's Christopher or Sonic. Go right ahead.
Hey, so great presentation. So late to the game. My apologies, everybody. We all got a job to do. So director of the ISR here at 13th Air Task Force, the new unit of action for the Air Force. So just interesting, Yannicka. Sorry if I botched your name, so forgive me in advance.
Oh no, you got it.
From the standpoint of, do you have an ATO? So are you basically developing your use cases based off of like open source data, or have you guys have the authority to operate on kind of classified systems of the U.S. government and kind of show the utility? I'm just interested in kind of where you guys are at with your technical readiness level. Over.
Hey, Sonic, this is Andrew Toth at Modus. Yannicka, I hope you don't mind if I jump in on here and answer this for you, and maybe a couple of the other ones too, if I can get back to those. The bottom line is, yes, we currently have an ATO. We're up on platform 1 from the Air Force side of the house. We're currently a CUI capability. We have just integrated onto SIPRNet and going up in the JWICS domain here shortly. SAP is a whole separate issue that we'll worry about down the road. The platform that we have is our knowledge management platform that's currently utilizing the ATO, and it's called Knight. So integrating to get after some of those that other questions there, ensuring that all of the knowledge is kept current, taking tactics, techniques, and procedures across the Air Force, integrating them into one system. And now the research capability goes to real time, and the update cycle of the system also does that. So that's where we're at on the ATO side of the house.
Cool, and that's basically just advancing your language model and updating your AI to be more reactive to the data.
Absolutely, right? So currently content referencing, right, is how we end up doing it through the searching there. And now part of this system, and it's on a phase 3 project right now through Air Combat Command, is to now take that entire system and integrate a large language model on top of that. So now the search capability over the trusted database, right? The singular database that's up on the Air Force network it will help reduce the hallucinations that the potential is out there for the large language models and get that trusted information back for both the operators and intel.
Yeah, I'd like to get you guys offline. Over.
You bet. And then to answer another one of the questions I think that just came up, I think you were asking about the relationship. What's an example use case of that? Currently in our fraud, waste, and abuse capability, we're looking at CIBR and SBIR proposals that enter into the system and reviewing the topic. Ultimately, an agency has the capability then to go over each one of those proposals, take a look at the policy, the DoD policy, to make sure that there's no risk in those particular proposals, and then follow that on through what we call inception technology, which is based on the same thing that Yannick was talking about, our integrated knowledge graph, right? Verify, ensure there's no fraud, waste, and abuse, that those topics have not been previously funded by any other agency that's out there. And as we compare those, the most relevant topics come up to the top. If there's something that's matched, then that agency will not go ahead and fund that CIBR project. So that's how you have that ability to do. National Science Foundation or anybody else could potentially use this too as well to ensure they're not duplicating efforts.
All right, Anthony.
Yeah, just Andrew, I could have used that the past 10 years. I've been working CIBRs for that long, and boy, that would be so useful for us.
You bet. So the part that we've also got that we got to still develop, right, is the technical review portion of that. So you got the policy piece, the technical review, and then the fraud, waste, abuse section. The technical review, right, the capability is there. I've already actually done it on a commercial product, but you enter in, here is the topic. You enter in what you think as the reviewer are the objectives for achieving that topic. You enter in the tasks, you enter in what you think is going to be the commercialization. You have to review 20 to 50 of these proposals yourself. And then what this will do is the most relevant papers that will come to the top and they're based on your objectives, your tasks out there, and your commercialization side of the house. Now what you do is you say, okay, here's the top 10. Let me give them a harder review, right? And now I can go over and see and go, that's going to be the most relevant. Let's go ahead and fund that one. That number one saves time, money, resources, right? And you also get the proposal that has the highest chance of succeeding over the course of the 6 months to 2 years that are out there too as well.
Yeah,
that's just a matter of integrating capability.
Yeah, tremendous time and cost savings for sure.
You bet, sir.
Thank you.
Sure. And one last question in the chat from Lindsay is he wanted to get a better understanding of what the growth round, because he understands that Modus is, you guys have been around for a little bit, and he wants to understand, what the growth round is for, if you're able to share that.
Yeah, so what we're really trying to do is seek to cross the chasm, right? We've got a couple of the projects that are out there that are on a phase 3, the knowledge management system and the, we didn't talk about the intelligence analysis system, but also the supply chain management application. Ultimately, what we're doing is seeking capital. They're anywhere between $3 and $5 million, right, to get us from the project mindset right into the commercialization and get to the sales and marketing side of the house on the capital raise piece of it, if that answers the question.
Yeah, I think it does. Well, thank you so much both to Andrew and Yannicka. Feel free to leave contact information in the chat. so folks can follow up. It seems like there will be some follow-up, hopefully. So feel free to do that. All right, with that, we are going to continue forward, onwards and forwards to Alithia, I believe, if I'm not mispronouncing that, will be presenting next up.
Thank you, Asher. Hello, everybody. My name is Esteban Castellanos. I'm a recently retired Air Force member, so it's great to see members of the tribe on here. Thank you for the invite. I will go ahead and dive right in. So I hope you can see this. I'm getting pop-ups on my side. I'm attempting to show you a PDF deck. Do we see it?
Yep, I see it.
Okay, great. So Alithia, incidentally, we are a multiple SIBR award winner. I'm going to put it out there, and I will circle back to that with a direct ask. We are a company that has an AI-driven tool that provides early detection of influence operations. So Time is a weapons platform. Our Intel folks, public affairs folks, OSI, they're doing a great job at what they do. However, a useful tool in their quiver as this ocean of data from our adversaries gets pumped out there is having AI in the loop. So time is the one resource that we have the same amount of as our adversaries. So how are some ways that we can help create time? And that's by leveraging a tool like Alithia's tool called Artemis, which is an OSINT web-based platform. So traditional media monitoring is not enough. So what we try to flip this model on its head, and I'm going to do a quick product demo as well, just to show you briefly. But big picture, like it's the data gaps, that hard to find data, and then that Artemis can scrape and find. Next, it assesses it using our machine learning to look for those tactics, techniques, and procedures so that you get that situational understanding, get the context. So is something a big deal or not? And then lastly, the mitigation piece so that you can get ahead of something before it trends, before it makes breaking news or impacts your mission operations. So you can think of, there's a lot of use cases and case studies we can share about broadly that are impacting the defense side, diplomatic, informational, military, economic. Again, just to be clear, like Alithia is an established commercial company with a lot of recognizable logos to you all. I'm here to help bring this over, make this the dual use piece where we can get those capabilities that our DoD desires. So on the left-hand side of this, here, like the early detection of threats, the types of things that might be, trying to block U.S. interests, that of our allies, harming trust in our institutions, in our DoD programs that our Pentagon is funding, et cetera, even that of our allies overseas. And on the right-hand side are some potential actions that, if only you could detect early, 2 to 3 weeks in advance, some of the things that are coming out, how you might get ahead with it. Since this is OSINT, right? This is all publicly available information. You could share this with industry partners. You can share this with legislative members. You can share it with the press, right? To kind of get ahead of things. And just to, again, protect the broader public trust in institutions or in the commercial side, your brand, right? So I'm going to go over very quickly here just a case study, right? This is more on the defense side. On the commercial side, we care about short seller attacks or other harms that, hit the bottom line. But here on the defense side, it's about readiness and like our mission objectives. So I'm going to move quickly here. Big picture, a lot of times of crisis, a lot of, external state actors jump on in, go into niche platforms, start their influence campaigns. They hope that state actors amplify, and then that goes into the mainstream media like Facebook, X, etc. So this is just an example of disasters are inherently political now. The crises that occur, such as the LA fires. I have a one-pager, by the way, if anyone's interested in seeing it. But here's just a quick example, right? Weather weapons. Like here's just things that we have found using our platform. What I want to jump into really quickly, though, is sharing what that platform looks like. So here is what Artemis looks like. Again, web-based platform. So up top, the way you start, you put a query, whatever that might be that you're looking for. You can put a date range as well. And then Artemis runs, takes a few minutes, sometimes depending on the size of the query. Right at the very top, your analyst, like, let me stop. One way to think about this is like a choose your own adventure. This is what you're presented with. And then you can dive deeper into the tool. It's like a needle in a haystack, and you can make the haystack smaller, smaller, and smaller. So right up front, somebody in their workflow knows, hey, is there anything to pay attention to? And this is alerting you, hey, there's potential threatening content, there's coordination detected, and there's government entities involved in state media. So again, it's about early detection of adversarial influence operations. So here you have broad conversation clusters that you can dive into, click into. You could see what the coordination is, who's coordinating and how they're doing it. You get account insights, who are those influencers, who are those amplifiers, and you could see exactly what they're posting. The notable posts tell you, what government entities involved, what state media, here you have Russia involved in the things, and who's coordinating, and what are those posts that are coordinating? What are those top URLs? What is it happening, occurring over time? And then top hashtags, top entities. Then in Explorer windows where you do your deeper dive, for example, you could see the specific accounts and URLs that are being shared. You can click on it and you can see what they're seeing. Then you can go further and click on the coordination model and see like no kidding, who's coordinating where. And it looks like on Twitter and Getter, there's actual coordination. So you can click on it. You could see what which accounts are doing the sharing or the coordination. You could even see here on the left-hand side, it tells you how it's being done. For example, anything with the blue dot tells you something here is not human. So there's a sock puppet activity, sync account creation. So these accounts have been synced, probably created all at the same time. You have synced URLs, right? So this is how you can see inauthentic coordination happening. Moreover, overview, right? And then the specific posts you can look at by date range, etc. So just a couple big picture things about Lethia. We last year closed a $20 million funding round led by Google Ventures. We have worked with government. Currently, this is open source. We are working with FEMA, but primarily we're with commercial customers. We do have, and this is my ask to you specifically, Major Perry, we are going after a direct to phase 2, which is due March 6th. So would love to talk to you about some of the use cases. Some of the folks out of Ramstein in the Defense Information School and a few other places have been talking to us about. We're just looking for more champions to submit to take shots on goal for different R&D efforts. So I'll stop there and open the floor for questions.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, just reach out. Okay. I think I've used Artemis before, so I'm tracking some of it. Just don't know where you're at in the development piece, but we can take that offline. Yep. My contact information, you can go through Brian or Asher.
Sure.
Thank you.
Send that over.
Yeah, this is being used commercially. Go ahead.
This is Martin. I had a quick question. How do you handle the different languages, or are you limited to a subset of languages?
We do have specific languages that we can handle right now. I don't have the slide in front of me with them all, but yes, we can handle some languages. If there's some in particular you're interested in, you can let me know. This can be folded into a broader, for example, R&D opportunity with the Department of Defense, for example, or sorry, Martin, I don't know who you're representing, but if there's some other interest, we can talk offline.
Okay, thanks.
Sure. We have time for, I think, one more question. If there is. Otherwise, I can use, there's one question in the chat. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you want to.
Yeah, sorry, I see it. So the question is, how do you safeguard against false positives? I just want to be clear. We're not in the business of this is true, or this is false. We don't do that. We simply tell you if something is inauthentically coordinated. Sorry, I don't know if that question was meant for me or meant for elsewhere. Oh yeah. So that's what we surface. Could the data the AI is using being gamed? Well, that's the whole thing. That's what we're detecting is generative AI gaming you. This is the inauthentic coordination that's occurring, copy pasta, bots being built at the same time, just this constant pumping out information. That's what we're highlighting for you all to get ahead of it in the information journey before it becomes front page news or before it impacts mission operations.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Esteban. Great presentation. Feel free to leave your contact information. I know we have some other contact to start up, so we'll do that on our end as well. All right. So next up, we're going to have EVtronics, and I believe that Dan and Paz are going to be presenting for EVtronics.
Yes, I am here, ready to present. Okay, I am Paz Reinstein, COO of EVtronics, and Asher, I sent you a message, but our CEO is logged in. I think not as a panelist. If you can fix that, but it's okay if you can.
Sure.
And I don't know if Dan is here, so I'm just going to go ahead. EVtronics is a let me share my screen. Okay, so the name of our company, EVtronics, is our other company name. This is our today I'm presenting on for Solar Synapse. And what this is it's primarily an IoT and AI-based product that is adding, our original name was Panel Brain, but it's adding intelligence to solar arrays, particularly utility scale. So what we're doing is what our founder and the inventor of this product, Dan Vogler, realized was that in order to effectively maintain a large solar panel arrays, you need individual panel monitoring. You need to be able to detect when a panel is down, and also when there is shading or dirt on it that's lowering the effectiveness of the panel. And we also want to be able to monitor the degradation of the panel's performance, both from a warranty standpoint and from the effectiveness of the entire array. So this gives us this allows us predictive maintenance and accelerated repair, life cycle analysis, and we have something called the Monster Mesh Network that I'm going to talk about a little bit today. Just a quick overview of this. Solar panels have a failure rate of roughly 1 in 200. When a 10 megawatt array is going to be roughly 25 to 40,000 panels. And at these large scale arrays that are now in the terabytes, we're talking about somewhere between 400,000 and 800,000 panels. So these huge farms, if you're going out and sending somebody with a little testing device, it would be highly prohibitive and you'd have many, many failures. So, and the issue with current solar panel arrays, and probably for a time to come, is a single failed solar panel can take down an entire string, which could be up to 20, 25 panels. So you're losing the wattage, and you're also not able to repair or replace those panels. The value proposition is we cut the repair replacement time. You know immediately if a panel has failed, be able to replace it as soon as you can get somebody out there. Predictive maintenance, dirt, pollen, and foreign debris, any kind of performance improvement, and any kind of trends, which is one of the things we're going to talk about in a minute. The AI component here is related to analysis of longer term trends. So roughly, the product that we're building is going to add roughly 10% to the cost of a solar panel. So roughly $20 to $40 for a $400 panel, and we believe would easily recoup that cost in probably 3 to 4 years, and with a typical 25-year lifespan. This is a kind of a no-brainer for manufacturers, and particularly for the utilities. So one, I think most germane to this today's meeting is we have a unique task of integrating these large-scale solar arrays. When we're talking, again, 20 to 40,000 panels, even on a small one, and these huge amounts. What's really important, one of the things that our Monster Mesh offers is dynamic provisioning, which allows us to, when there are small changes made, that nodes can be added, that this is a very flexible system data aggregation from real-time messaging queues. It allows us to handle huge amounts of data and to scale effectively over as the arrays grow. The data analysis through AI, but primarily machine learning, but some AI, and to find patterns or ways we can improve. This is particularly important, for instance, if we're measuring a fixed solar panels versus tracking panels and trying to identify efficiencies and problems. And then data mining will allow us to do the same. And as I mentioned, because this mesh is very dynamic and it's able to handle this huge amount of nodes and data, we envision future use in battery storage, monitoring, and other IoT applications. So our current ask is this is just the size of the market, 100 billion per year for solar panels. It's growing quickly. We see our technology also being applied. We have another product that is a smart distribution transformer that will also help to integrate renewable technologies into the grid. And so we see our mission is to add intelligence to the growth of renewables and integrate the integration of these into a more efficient system, which is a big issue. Our current ask is a 500K convertible note to get us fully through the prototype stage and to basically we have in the field testing. Although we're going to do this either way, but a partner who wants to come in early would get a nice discount. And then we're going to be raising probably towards the end of this year, 5 million Series A for our go-to-market push. There are 15 to 20 panel manufacturers here in Texas, just recently, some of them. And we see this as once we are able to get a few people signed up, we see the growth is happening very quickly in this huge market. So I think that's it for the presentation and opening it up for questions.
Sure. Thank you so much, Paz.
No, there's Dan. Let me introduce Dan, our CEO. Our CEO is Dub. Dan, our president and founder and inventor of Solar Synapse.
Good afternoon.
All right, Chris, go right ahead.
Hi, interesting presentation. I was curious, do you have any sort of intellectual property tied up in this patent protection, and what other competitors do you see out there in the market right now?
Go ahead, Dan.
I can address this. There is a tremendous amount of intellectual property in the monster mesh and the underlying software, both in the individual per panel module, the aggregation within the solar array, the backhaul into the cloud, and then the overall control and monitoring at the back end. So a bunch of software patents and copyrights. It is unique. There is monitoring today, of course, at the solar inverter level, which is useful for sure, but this breaks it down to the most granular level on a panel by panel basis, which allows us to do what a solar inverter monitoring cannot do. We can detect a failure of a panel, a decay of a panel, a dirt on the panel, a stuck array in a tracking system, a wiring harness problem, things that are not available at the inverter level. And the justification of all of this is this cuts the maintenance and repair, which is appreciable in a large array of 40,000 panels. You might lose one panel every 2 months, and that's exasperated because panels are wired in a series parallel array. So if one panel goes out, the entire string goes out maybe 24 panels in that string. So that affects the revenue because kilowatts equate directly to dollars in the revenue model. And the maintenance repair cycle is cut to 1/10 of what it might be otherwise. As an experienced solar developer, the last project that we built here in Texas, there were 2 panels that were out. It took the contractor 2 days to replace those 2 panels that could have been done in 2 hours by identifying which panel it was versus having to go out into the field and do a bunch of testing with their voltmeter otherwise. So it cuts maintenance time in half and gets us back online making revenue quickly.
And if I could ask one quick follow-up, why are none of the manufacturers including even a rudimentary way of doing this right now?
That's a good question. That, you know, solar panels have certainly come into common use now and are growing at 40% a year in terms of large solar arrays, because the coincidence of sunlight in the afternoon coincides with peak demand. So it's a very good source of energy that coincides with the load that the utilities have. But the manufacturers, unfortunately, today are most in China and are just not up to speed on the innovation. This is a American idea with American technology and American coders behind it. So we think that the market, which is probably less than 50 what I would call tier 1 manufacturers, more in the United States as there's a shift from China to the US for manufacturing of solar panels. So as an OEM component inside the solar panel, and also driven by the developers of large solar projects, a company like RWE out of Germany, which has a huge presence in the United States now, a $40 billion company, that the developers are also going to be a driver in this, seeing the economic benefit for them being builders, owners, and operators of these large arrays. So the point of that is we think that the market size is huge, but the number of market players is a small number. I'd say less than 200 for us to build a $100 million valuation company, an easily identifiable and reachable market to bring solar synapse inside the panel. Now, of course, it could be an option. Solar manufacturers would probably offer panels with and without the solar synapse monitoring integral to the panel at 2 different price points. But of course, the solar synapse module is powered by the panel itself. It doesn't take, it takes a less than 0.5% of the power from the panel to power the module. So it's very negligible in terms of being self-powered by the panel itself. And there's a place to put it. The plastic junction box on the back of the panel, which is the where the cabling comes out, a strain relief to the cabling, has enough room in it for our module, which is smaller than your thumb. And that's
Dan,
an
if I
SoC
could,
module.
yeah,
Go ahead.
if I could jump in. So Chris, for the same reason we discussed both the, the IoT aspect, the monster mesh, and the AI aspect, it's because really, as the name Synapse implies, this is really a connection, an IoT connection, and it really depends on the integration. That's why it's not a simple task. We've been working on this now for 6-9 months and working on many different systems. Here's Dub. Dub has joined in. And so the basically building a system that will integrate all the data that we're collecting is the biggest challenge. And that's one of the areas where we want to move forward. So that's why it hasn't been developed, because if putting the panel in was enough and it was just, oh, what's happening with the panel, it would be much simpler. But when in these large scale arrays, it's about reading the data, interpreting the data, and that's where we're going. So Dub, if you would make a comment. I can't hear you though. Your mic is off. Okay, well,
we're running a little short.
Oh, there you
time,
go.
guys.
Where you guys are.
Okay. What I was going to say is that one of the things that is that's important here, and one of the reasons this hasn't probably happened before, is I did a similar system to this in a previous company. We actually had to invent the new mesh technology. That technology was something, it's a new mesh technology, new mesh protocol. We filed for patents on it. The company that acquired that company has since gone out of business, and those patents have been abandoned. But since I'm the guy that wrote the protocol, I'm one of the very few people, I'm one of really 3 people in the world that fully understands how this technology works. Now, one of the advantages is you have to have something that you can get all that data back from, which means you need a mesh network that scales to tens or hundreds of thousands of nodes with no problem at all. And so that's what we do. That's one of the things that we do that enables this. If you don't have that kind of network, this is really more or less not possible with commercial off-the-shelf mesh networking technology that exists today. Nothing scales to that level.
Thank you.
Okay, we're running low on time, so we're gonna have to keep going, everyone. Thank
Yeah, I'll
you.
put our contact info
Yeah.
in the chat.
And Han, you should definitely connect with them offline, because I know you had a question. All right.
I did have a question. That's okay. Well,
Yeah. Next up, we have Synergist Technologies.
Perfect. Thank you. Let me just share my screen here. And oh. All right. Can you see that?
Not yet on my end.
Oh, let's do. I want desktop too. Here we go. Share. How's that?
I think I'm gonna see some. Yep.
All right. Perfect. And of course, this little thing's in the way. There we go. All right. And allow. Perfect. All right, so my name is Dave Bako. I'm the Director of Sales at Synergist Technology. I also have our SVP of Federal, Mark Bortman, on. That'll help answer some questions at the end as we get to that. But I really appreciate the opportunity to present to you guys today. So artificial intelligence is evolving faster than the rules that govern it, right? And enterprises want to adopt AI, but compliance and security risks are really holding them back. And that's where Synergist Technology comes in. We're a team of experienced entrepreneurs, cybersecurity professionals, and AI engineers with a proven track record of developing, scaling, and exiting GRC software. So we've exited 3 GRC softwares in the past successfully. But our flagship product, Affirm, is an AI and cybersecurity governance and compliance platform that monitors AI security, performance, and compliance. Fully developed in the Azure High environment, Affirm is already in production. So our go-to-market strategy is direct sales to DoD, federal agencies, state governments, and enterprises, really to helping them to establish and maintain AI governance and compliance standards. So, as I said, enterprises want to leverage AI for efficiency, but lack the controls to ensure compliance, maintain the security, and avoid inaccurate decisions. And this exposes them to major legal and reputational risks, and in many cases prevents AI adoption altogether. So a key challenge in AI governance is maintaining authorization and trust, ensuring the enterprises continuously validate AI systems' behavior against responsible AI principles and continuous authority to operate, which it's really a challenge to do that, right? So this requires documentation and real-time alerts for authorization risks, but traditional monitoring tools weren't built for AI. So you wouldn't drive a car at 150 miles an hour without reliable brakes. Right now, agencies don't have the brakes, so they're hesitant to accelerate AI adoption. We're providing both a braking system for control and the operating system to monitor the performance and safety, giving them the confidence to move forward responsibly. So Affirm ensures AI compliance across standards like the NIST, ISO, and more than 100 active US laws around AI, plus global mandates like the EU AI Act, where penalties are extremely severe. And to ease this burden, Synergist Affirm platform, deployed with organizations or through managed service providers, continuously monitors AI outputs, enhancing efficiency while mitigating reputational, legal, and security and financial risks. Affirm also maps to key frameworks like the Air Force RAI strategy, zero trust architectural principles while supporting those ATO audits. We're currently in the process of our FedRAMP High SaaS certification, and we have our top secret FCL. So AI and cybersecurity governance requires a continuous life cycle to ensure the transparency, security, and compliance at every stage of deployment. And we really look at it from 5 stages. So the 5-stage approach meets enterprises where they are, whether they're just starting, actively developing, or managing multiple AI assets, helping them to establish and streamline that AI governance. Discovery lays the foundation by assessing an organization's AI landscape, the risks, the gaps, then implementing cyber and AI frameworks for compliance. And then with a zero trust approach, security, assess, and governance are continuously verified. Organizations can also integrate custom frameworks for consistency across their enterprise with a risk-based AI governance strategy. And then getting into monitoring, real-time oversight is critical. And Affirm provides continuous AI monitoring for both performance and compliance risks, ensuring proactive governance and continuous authorization to operate. And then finally, which I think is the really cool part, Affirm automates compliance tracking, logging, and reporting, generating full audit reports in just a few clicks, eliminating all of the wasted hours and last-minute scrambling as you prepare for an audit. And then, I hit too many times. Sorry about that. All right. So continuous AI monitoring is really a key differentiator for us. So once AI is deployed, as you all know, it continues to learn and evolve, which can lead to false narratives, hallucinations, and unexpected risks, issues we've all seen in the headlines. For example, take the case of Air Canada's AI chatbot. It performed as expected for about 2 months and then suddenly began fabricating a bereavement policy, leading to some negative headlines, unexpected costs. So without real-time monitoring, these risks go unnoticed until it's too late. So Affirm automates detection of model drift, bias, and hallucinations, ensuring visibility into those reputational, security, and operational risks. And it also enables real-time mitigation, allowing those enterprises to make informed decisions about AI use as it's actually happening. And then finally, we strongly believe in third-party audit. So the enterprise developing the AI can't also be the one that's responsible for monitoring it. It's a bit like the fox guarding the hen house, and that's where Affirm comes in and why Microsoft chose to partner with us. So a little bit of a use case. So continuous authority to operate. Compliance is a perfect example of why this is so important. We're addressing a documented requirement from OMB and DoD, and it really aligns with DoD's RAI strategy implementation timeline. And programs need these tools to comply with AI monitoring mandates, but traditional monitoring solutions weren't really built for AI. So loss of authorization status can ground critical missions, and each AI system requires continuous validation to maintain compliance. Unfortunately, manual monitoring really can't keep pace with rapid AI deployment and development. And finally, continuous authority to operate demands real-time evidence of continuous monitoring. So Affirm really delivers on all of these capabilities, ensuring AI systems remain authorized, compliant, and mission-ready.
30-second warning.
Okay, almost done. So we've secured contracts with multiple state governments and are in the final stages with securing federal customers who will act as sponsors for the FedRAMP High certification, ensuring we become a leading AI governance solution for the highly regulated environments. We developed some key partnerships with industry leaders like Microsoft, CDW, and Carahsoft, and are actively scaling with Public Consulting Group, Cohen & Co., and Client Management Services to integrate and manage Affirm into the federal, state, and commercial markets. And then finally, what we're looking for. So we're actively seeking partners now to launch proof of concept deployments with enterprises looking to take advantage of AI. We're also open to exploring strategic partnerships, particularly with companies interested in leveraging Affirm as a new revenue stream. Could include enterprises looking or that already provide IT or cybersecurity solutions or services that want to expand their offerings to AI governance. And then in 2024, we closed a $5 million seed round. We just opened our $3.5 million seed B round to support the FedRAMP High certification and scale our go-to-market efforts. And then finally, we're also looking for any customers that would like to support our phase 2 SBIR funding. So with that, I'll open it up to questions, but if there's anybody wants to dive in further offline, my email's there so you can reach out.
Go right ahead.
Sure. Hey, good presentation and then actually much needed solution. Thank you. What does your like competitive landscape look like? Like for example, like IBM QRadar, how would you compare yours to them, theirs?
So I'm not as familiar with the one that you mentioned, but what I would say our closest competitor is probably Credo AI, but they're really focused on just the frameworks, or the framework packs is what we call them, which we do. And I think the big difference between us is, one, we're operating in a FedRAMP high environment on Azure, and to our knowledge, we haven't seen anyone that is operating in that environment, so we can meet those demands. And then two, really AI governance is kind of on that 5 bucket slide, in cybersecurity as well, which is kind of at the core of all AI governance, is really a continuous life cycle. And you kind of have to meet all different aspects of that in those 5 buckets to really be compliant across the board. So you can't just have the framework packs without the monitoring, because the framework packs and those laws, regulations, standards mandate that you need to continuously monitor those AI systems. So you have to have the monitoring as well. So we're really that kind of single pane of glass that answers the call to all of the different stages, from ideation and pre-deployment through getting in compliance with those regulations, and then finally into the monitoring and reporting and being audit ready.
Gotcha. So you provide a whole solution for whole vertical. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yvonne, go right ahead.
Thank you for your presentation. Since I'm German, what about AI regulations in other countries? And Germany and the EU, I mean, they are known for having the most stringent regulation. Is this also included in your platform?
Yeah, so the EU AI Act, which I'm sure is the one that you're referencing, or I would assume, is one that is one of our framework packs that are built in. But the nice thing about the platform is it's agnostic to the framework. So if there's a framework that a customer wants to comply with or use as kind of their North Star, as I would say, and the EU AI Act, I think, is a good North Star, given that it's probably the most stringent among the regulations that are out today. We can build in that framework pack into our platform. And what it does is it breaks it down directive by directive and allows you to add the artifacts and the steps to show that you're in compliance, and then be audit ready when those things come down, or when those auditors walk through the door. Or if there's the framework packs that we do have are also customizable. So there's people view, NIST SP 853 a little bit different than someone else. We can customize it to the way that they interpret the language, so that they're following it in the way that they want to follow it. I think another good example is, let's say the state of Virginia, for instance, they have a centralized IT agency that oversees IT for the rest of the state. They're interested in doing using their own framework. So if there's an organization or an agency that wants to use their own framework, we can ingest that, break it down, and then they can ensure compliance across all of the, I'll call it, child agencies below them.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for the presentation, David. Feel free to leave your contact information in the chat, and yeah, definitely appreciate it.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Next up, we have EdgeRunner AI. Feel free to get going whenever you're ready.
Great. Yep. Let me pull my screen up.
Sure.
Can you see it?
Yep.
All right. Great. Well, hey, I'm Dave Anderson with EdgeRunner AI, and we build an AI solution that works entirely on device. So I'll show a demo later on, but we run AI models on laptops, desktops, other edge devices. And we have a solution that's particularly useful for the military because we provide AI agents that are specific to military occupations, which we'll touch on in just a moment. But the solution is a ChatGPT-like interface that gives a lot of the same familiar functionality that users of other AI tools are used to, but again, it's running on your computer, so your data is staying local. You don't have to send it to the cloud. You don't have to pay for hosting costs to run these large frontier models in the cloud. And especially if you're trying to use this in the field where you may be in a DDIL environment where there's not always guaranteed internet, you can still have that functionality and have this powerful, these powerful AI tools assisting you. We make it military specific to the warfighter. And so we're using smaller models operating on device. That's how we're able to keep everything local. And in order to keep these smaller models performant and useful, we attach adapters that are specific to different military specialties. So Army MOS or Air Force AFSCs. There's additional training that we put on top of the models that they're running so that whatever your role is, whether you're a logistician or you're in maintenance or acquisitions, whatever your occupation is, you've got a model on your device that is loaded specifically for your role and helps you process, especially document-heavy tasks. These do have multi-step, multi-turn capabilities where you can actually carry out tasks such as sending emails, searching the web, connecting to tools like Outlook or other chat tools. We have the ability to connect to other third-party systems if you need to pull information. Again, if you want to go online, if you want to stay completely offline, that's fine. That's totally possible as well. All the basic functionality around retrieval augmented generation that you may be familiar with is also possible with multi-document RAG on device here. And so the AI models, we believe that they need to be serving useful purposes, solving specific challenges for the different users. And so we augment them with low rank adapters. That's how we achieve these specialized agents for different occupations that are specific to a role or a mission. And the combination of the additional training as well as the RAG helps keep the AI grounded in truth and doctrine and providing more reliable answers. So let me actually jump to a demo here. I'll pull up the application on my screen. And let's start off with a question for a maintenance individual. So what I'm going to do is, this is a set of documents about a Humvee. This is about, I think it's about 4,000 pages. And we'll put in a question. Let's say you're a mechanic and you need to understand the procedure for the parking brake system maintenance. So this is all going to run just on my device. It's going to parse through these thousands of pages and say, okay, here's what you need to know if you're trying to replace the parking brake. Go through all the different procedures for all the different systems. And there you go. The operator instantly can parse through thousands of pages of text to help them perform their role more quickly. Let's say you want to get a little more specific and say, hey, specifically, I think I need to replace the parking brake rod. It can then again go through the document and list step by step, here's what you need to do to perform this task. So especially for document heavy tasks where you have to parse through thousands of pages to find the right answer, or even tasks such as filling out a specific form, let's say you need to fill out a standard form 245 as a logistician, you can configure the AI to provide the outputs that align to that form, just to really streamline a lot of the document writing heavy tasks that users may face. And I'll just pull up again, this was the document that we were referencing, over 4,000 pages of Humvee specific information. And what we have, what you didn't see today, but what's coming in the tool shortly are actual citations that the user can pull up so that after they get this answer, they can just click on it and say, okay, hey, here's a specific page where we reference this in case you as the operator want to go back and double check the AI's work. So we're working closely with the Air Force Research Laboratory right now. We have a CRADA in place with them where we're helping to power the Nipper GPT platform and bring a set of AFSC specific adapters onto Nipper GPT, test with the Air Force and get actual airmen using the models and giving feedback so that we can really improve the adapters for the Air Force. We're partnering closely with hardware players. So we're working closely with Intel as well as other laptop OEMs to demonstrate that our solution works very well locally on their hardware and help them, as many of these large companies are trying to define the AI PC, solutions like this that are fully on device and leveraging that hardware help explain this. So again, closely partnered with Intel, and we actually demoed our solution with them at CES. And then we also recently participated in the US Space Force Space Domain Awareness TAP Lab, where we actually designed a low compute image classification solution, which I'd be happy to discuss if anyone's curious about that. Our solution is available on Carahsoft. We go through distribution in order to bring this to market. However, we will work directly with different units within the DoD to customize capabilities for their needs. Our company was founded by warfighters. Our CEO is an Army logistician and designed to solve challenges for the warfighter. And we're able to rapidly adapt AI to solve specific mission needs. And so if anyone here is interested in a solution that's tailored to any specific use case, feel free to reach out to me and we're happy to discuss. And with that, I will turn it over for questions.
Awesome. Thanks, Dave. All right. I'll ask the first one. Oh, yeah, Yvonne, you'll ask the first one. Perfect. Love it.
Hi, Dave. Thanks for the presentation. I'm not sure whether we actually talked before. I know that I talked to EdgeRunner before. Good to see you here. I'm wondering, I'm not sure whether I missed this. How are you avoiding hallucinations if you have any issues with hallucinations?
Yeah, so I touched on that briefly, but happy to expand upon it. And great to see you. Maybe you've met our founder and CEO Tyler or our COO Colton before.
Yeah, that might.
But yeah. So part of the way we're running smaller models. So we're talking on the order of 8 billion parameter models. That's how we're able to fit it on a laptop. And so in order to still have a highly performant solution, we do custom model adapters. So it's a process called low rank adaptation or building LoRa's, where you do basically additional training on anywhere from a few hundred pages to thousands of pages of specific documentation. So what's really nice about the military is they're very clearly defining the different roles, the different specialties, have all the doctrine that's tied to them so that you can train the model on that doctrine, which then helps ground the model, first of all, and make it more specialized. So it's less likely to provide false answers, helps it understand the jargon and the acronyms that are tied to that role. And then additionally, the RAG system here, where you're using retrieval augmented generation on device, looking at the doctrine when providing answers, and then citing your answers allows the human to further verify. So that's how we help mitigate these false answers. But the idea is you always keep the human in the loop. This is not meant to replace humans. It's meant to augment them and serve as a force multiplier.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Hey, if there's no other questions, Asher, happy to give you some time back. My email's right here. I'll drop them in the chat as well, and appreciate all your time.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it. Yeah. All right. Last presentation of the day, Blastwave. Go right ahead, Tom or Cam.
I'll take it. Thank you. All right, so okay, good. You can see my screen. So I'm Cam Cullen. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer for Blastwave. What Blastwave focuses on is really protecting critical infrastructure. Cybersecurity is really horribly failing critical infrastructure and the people and the society that it's serving. We have what we believe is a massively underserved market for critical infrastructure that is composed of part IT and part OT or operational technology that is being force-fed solutions that are IT oriented, which don't actually protect that infrastructure. And more that infrastructure is what's getting attacked out there in the market today. And CISA and others are continually issuing alerts on tools and tactics that are being used against these critical infrastructure. In fact, according to IBM, over 50% of the successful attacks out there today are on critical infrastructure companies, manufacturing, oil and gas, power, water, wastewater. So this number continues to go up on a yearly basis. And the first comment is really that about 100% of these systems attacked had a firewall deployed. So they thought they were being protected by a security system that they had deployed out there today. But all of these systems essentially are failing them because they're not protecting the network the way it needs to be. 60% of the attacks leverage credentials theft, and about 38% of them leverage basically external public services unprotected servers or servers with 0 days or known vulnerabilities. What's important about these two particular threat vectors, besides the fact that they are the majority of the attacks, is that these are the ones that are currently receiving the biggest boost from artificial intelligence. ChatGPT, for example, has made phishing far more relevant and much easier to find the vulnerabilities that are out there on the network themselves. 84% of these attacks would have been prevented just by deploying BlastWave. Bold statement number one from us, because we can block both of these attack vectors dead in their tracks. And these CIOs and CISOs in this market are really limited to their options today because they have a bunch of point solutions and it's not really working for them. And they have indicated that they want to spend the money now because they have put a lot of money investing in these these basically monitoring tools that are watching their network get hacked, but nothing is protecting their network from getting hacked. So what is needed in the market is something that's very simple, very cost-effective, optimized for uptime, which is really what matters in an operational network like a plant, and power sources, oil and gas, these industries where uptime is worth millions of dollars per hour or per minute. And they need something that's not checking the box for 51 IEC 62443 controls or NERC SIP standards or even some of the DoD zero trust requirements. It's about basically minimizing that risk, accepting the fact that there are humans that are sitting on the other side of those keyboards. So we believe this needs to be easy to use and intuitive, a low cost of ownership, and one of the most important factors, it has to be deployable by non-IT professionals. If you think of a lot of water plants, for example, they don't have full-time IT staff. In the manufacturing world, it used to be that it was a part-time job to do the network security. And to minimize your risk properly and increase uptime, you need to deploy solutions that are easy to use for these type of individuals. And we stop these breaches in 10% of the time, 10% of the deployment time, at 50% of the maintenance effort, and 25% of the cost. So it is a significantly simplified solution. We basically will take models like this where you have firewalls all over the network, very complex, takes forever, very prone to human error, and turn it into what groups need to talk to what parts of the network, no matter where they are. It's a very simple, easy thing to configure, and all based upon a passwordless authentication system. And what we do basically with these customers is we shield their network from external attack. We secure all of the access into that network, and we segment the network inside so that if there is a breach or if there is a problem, that is basically isolated to a very small set of zone, and they can minimize the damage that a user can do. We are a revenue generating company. We have over 30 customers. The system is very easy to install. We participate in some of the first true OT zero trust deployment with the US Air Force in Germany. We've also signed a very large $3 million contract with an oil and gas company where we proved out our simplicity by expanding from 5,000 devices to 20,000 protected in less than a month. And their security team that did a penetration test basically found no vulnerabilities. And that was proven out by another customer who actually had a ransomware attack occur during a trial deployment that we had done with them. And we were the only cybersecurity product that they either had deployed or were trialing out that was able to stop that attack. And as a result of that, we're now going to be rolled out across that entire network. So we are a real revenue generating company that's out there in the market today. And we want to build the industry's first really comprehensive critical infrastructure security solution. From an investment perspective, we're always looking for follow-on investors in the company. We're not actively raising around right now, but we expect to be in the near future. Any questions? My contact is cam, C-A-M, @blastwave.com. So if you have any questions or follow-ups on that, feel free to reach out to me.
Sure, I could. Oh, go ahead, Han.
Hey,
Actually, good solution, good product there, and good presentation. Thank you. Hey, so does your product provides like features like a network cloaking and then like a secure remote access and things like that, all of those?
Yeah, so it does. We do network cloaking on the front end. We do passwordless secure remote access. It's based on biometrics and devices to let people into the network. And then once we let them in, we do micro segmentation with zero trust. So basically they get least privilege access to anything in the network. And that's all software defined. So that is basically policies that get set up. So even we're essentially a software defined secure network solution. So it operates at both layer 2 and layer 3 across the WAN and LAN for our segmentation. And we encrypt and secure all traffic from either the clients to the sites or to the site in a mesh VPN configuration.
Okay. All right. Yep. Thank you. Good product. Thank you.
Okay, I have a quick question.
Sure.
Is there like different applications for, like, for example, like passenger vehicles or motorcycles? Is there any like plan to expand on that part?
Well, the client itself can it's basically a very small shim. It can run on pretty much any OS that's used in mobile or computing devices. So you could literally have this on your phone as you're driving, or if you connected to your car, for example, you could do that. We haven't done that. One of the areas we have looked at is we have a lot of customers with really small sites with like 2 to 5 devices, and they could run our system in a very small form factor system that costs a couple $100 essentially. So as you like do containers or oil wells or wellheads and stuff, we scaled down to the pricing level where it's appropriate for that as well.
Got it. Mm-hmm. So you're like, sorry. Yeah, I was gonna ask. So like your patents and your mode is around the software and hardware, or is it more on the like process side?
Yeah, so we're all software based. We could run on any hardware. We do have some hardware partners where we can install bare metal. We can run on VMs or containers. All of our patents are in the software and basically that zero trust mesh connectivity that we have between the users of the sites. One of the things that we found is a lot of the zero trust solutions that use cloud-based solutions or proxies are really slow, and they actually get in the way of a lot of manufacturing and critical monitoring operations. And we don't do that because everything is direct connection peer-to-peer.
Got it. Thank you.
Gotcha. Just one more quick question if nobody has anything. You mentioned about 30 customers. Does that include any of those, any of the US DoD government customers?
Yes, so we do have DoD customers, and we have quite a number more opportunities in DoD that we are lining up right now in terms of new trial deployments and new lighthouse basically deployments for them.
Okay. You guys are ITAR restricted product?
If we started selling the VPN stuff, we would have to register for export, but I wouldn't anticipate it being too big of a challenge to go outside the US because it's simple. It's all open source. We're not using our own dedicated encryption. It's just the open source libraries for encryption.
Gotcha. Okay, great. Well, thank you.
Thanks.
Perfect. Is that another question? I didn't hear. Sorry. Cool. Perfect. Well, thank you so much for presenting, Cam. I know you already presented your email, but feel free to throw it in the chat. And thank you to all the companies and the panelists who joined us today. Really appreciate everyone for joining and all of the great presentations. If anyone would like to get connected after the showcase, more than happy to try to foster looking forward to seeing everyone next month at the Energy Showcase.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.